Hi, I'm Kat Tillinghast with West Coast Yoga and Sports Therapy. I'm a yoga therapist, and yoga therapists help people with all types of chronic pain and other types of imbalances in the system. And one of the imbalances that many of us experience, sometimes unfortunately on a daily basis, is anxiety. So today I'm going to show you some poses and some breathing that will help you with anxiety in terms of decreasing the anxiety in your body and your whole system, including your mind. So when we talk about anxiety, we think of the nervous system. We like to balance the nervous system, and the best way to do that is to lengthen your exhales. So I would simply say that a practice you could start to do on your own would be freely inhale. Take a deep inhale and sit up tall and fill your lungs. You could close the eyes or not while you do this. And then take an even longer exhale. So we would exhale 1, 2, 3. And then again, inhale freely, fill up the lungs, breathing through the nose. And then exhale 1, 2, 3, and 4. Inhale freely. Exhale 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think you get the idea. You're going to really start to increase the number and start to breathe longer exhales as long as you can. So I want you to please pay attention to this when you're practicing this type of breathing, this type of pranayama, which we call langana. I'd like you to think about if you start to feel agitated or nervous, just come back to regular breathing. But for most of us, about 99% of us, this is an excellent way to calm the body and the mind, okay, and balance the nervous system. So the poses that we're going to do today are going to do the same thing. We're going to start with a forward bend. Very simple, because beginners and also advanced practitioners can do forward bends. So most people say I'm not flexible who haven't done yoga. This really isn't about flexibility. We're just going to fold forward so we can calm the nervous system and balance the nervous system. So if you haven't done a forward bend before, I say to keep your knees soft, and you can have your hands above your knees, and just take an inhale so your spine is nice and long. Remember, take a free inhale, but as you exhale, come forward with a flat back. Bring your fingertips all the way to the floor, and notice I'm bending my knees. That's okay. Drop your head, and you can start to do that counting breath, that slow counting breath, okay? And if you're uncomfortable in a forward bend, you could come up in between, safely, and then go back down again for a second, or third, or even up to 6 times. So this is going to cleanse the organs. We're squeezing the belly, letting toxins release. And this would be a forward bend for more advanced practitioners. They could straighten the legs, shift the weight forward. I like to squeeze the belly muscles as I'm forward bending so my back stays safe. Lengthens the spine. Most importantly, balances the nervous system. Takes us out of fight or flight. That's the sympathetic nervous system. So I might hold that for 6 breaths. And then come back up. And then I'm actually going to go right into another yoga pose, a lunge. Okay? So I'm going to step my right leg back, just about one of my legs distant. And I can bring the right knee down for a low lunge. So again, you have options for beginners or advanced practitioners. If you have an advanced practice, you can actually come up on the toes and turn it into a high lunge. It's your choice. Whatever's comfortable for you. We're going to take a little twist. I'm going to inhale to lengthen my spine, and exhale, bring my hands to my heart. I'm going to start to reach forward, drawing the left hip back, and then I'm going to place my right elbow on my left knee and take a little twist, pressing my palms together, dropping my left hip down, and looking up. So again, if you're more comfortable with the knee down, you're still twisting. When we twist, we create space in the spine. It helps us to think more clearly. Okay, so we want clarity. And I would hold that for about 6, or again, 3, maybe cycles of breath. You can come back into a forward bend here before you do the other side. And you want to make sure and do both sides, very important. I'm going to turn around so you can actually see me doing the twist properly. Up on the back toes. Inhale, arms reach up. Exhale, hands to your heart. Start drawing that right hip back, reaching your heart forward, hinging from your hips. Left elbow to the right knee. Pressing the palms together, pulling the navel to the spine, looking up if you can. If it's more comfortable for you to bring that knee down, you're still getting the twist. The twist is really what we're going for here. It's nice to get a release in the hips and the low back with a lunge. It's more important here today that we're twisting and breathing to release tension in the spine as well as your mind. Okay, so I come out of that and I'm just going to take a little counter pose to that, downward facing dog. So I'm going to turn my feet under, lift my hips, press myself up and back to downward facing dog. And if downward facing dog is not comfortable for you, or you don't have an advanced practice that includes downward dog, you can do child's pose. Big toes together, knees apart. Okay? And again, forward bends are excellent for treating anxiety. So this is a good practice to do before you sleep at night. Forward bending. Lots of forward bends before bedtime. Remember, yoga is medicine. So the next pose I'm going to do is called Trikonasana. I'm going to step my feet wide, and I'm actually going to use the wall. Okay, so Trikonasana against the wall, and I like that because I don't like the idea of sticking the booty out and coming all the way down to the floor. And you really can't do that when you have the wall behind you. And this is for reduction of anxiety, and you're probably asking why at this point, but I'll show you as we go over to the side with the right foot out and the back foot turned in, back toes turned in to protect the knee. I'm going to take the right hand down above or below the knee, and then I'm going to stack my shoulders, and here I'm going to take a twist. So we just did a twist in that lunge. We're doing another twist, pulling the navel to the spine. The idea is to get us out of the fight or flight syndrome. And when we twist, we're calming and releasing and allowing ourselves to get into that parasympathetic nervous system that tells us to rest and digest. When you twist, you turn on a little bit of fire in the belly that helps you to digest. So you can't help but be in the parasympathetic nervous system as you move and breathe. So please don't forget to breathe. Remember to do both sides. And again, I like to say that I'll take about 3 or 6 long cycles of breath, pulling the navel in tight, pressing it into the wall as I come back up. It's nice to have the wall support here. And I'm going to come back to the mat. So I'm going to come into another forward bend. Remember, forward bends are wonderful to decrease anxiety in the body and the mind. So you want to make sure and balance on your sitting bones. So you're sitting straight up, toes point up. This can be done before bed. We love to come into forward bends before we sleep, calming and balancing the central nervous system. Autonomic nervous system gets completely balanced. As we slow down the breath, we slow down the heart rate. I'm just doing a forward bend, Paschimottanasana, and I'm not worrying about bringing my nose down to touch my knees. I'm just shifting my hips back and reaching my heart forward. I'm going to try to keep my whole spine long. Take very deep breaths. Again, about 6 cycles of breath here to calm. Get us into that parasympathetic nervous system and out of the sympathetic nervous system, which teaches us to run, to head for the hills. Not necessary, especially before bed. About 6 cycles of breath. Come back up. And then we're going to do one more really lovely balancing pose for the nervous system. I'm going to bring my right foot up into my left inner thigh, and it's going to go above the knee. If you'd like it below the knee, that's also doable for you. Bhujangasasana. Again, take a little bit of a twist here. Toes point up. Inhale the arms up. And I'm going to exhale and twist just a little bit to the outside of my left leg and reach forward and just bring my fingertips to the floor. Again, not worrying about coming too far down, but I'm actually in a little bit of a twist and a forward bend. And that's going to create a little more change in the body, because if you think of it, we're doing two poses at once. So 3 to 6 long cycles of breath here. And you can do those long exhales like you did before. Coming back to center, releasing, and doing the other side. Always do both sides, again for balance. Remember, ideally, yoga therapy is to be taught to individuals or small groups. So we're really just skimming the surface of what we can do with yoga as medicine. Yoga therapy helps to release chronic pain in the body, manage chronic pain in the body. But also, we have a whole nervous system that is responsible for anxiety and depression, other forms of mental illness. Coming back to center with an inhale, exhale to release, and one last very wonderful, restful pose. So relaxing. It's actually a restorative yoga pose. So you'll need a bolster, or you can make a homemade bolster. What I like to do is bring my hip up to the bolster and bend my knees with the legs separated. So you're going to notice that we're twisting again, right? Not only helping to create more circulation, but massaging the belly so we can rest and digest. And you can close the eyes here and really start to release the breath if you like. You don't have to keep focusing on the breath. Three cycles of breath, 6 cycles of breath, 12 cycles of breath. Whatever works best for you, or depending on how much time you have. And again, both sides. Very vital that we practice both sides for balance. Same thing, bring the hip up to the bolster. Inhale so your spine is long. Exhale to twist, bring your belly down, and we'll go the opposite way. I feel like I could stay here forever. This is a really great pose to do, again, before bedtime. But those of you with severe anxiety, and sometimes anxiety associated with depression, this is something you can do in the morning, afternoon, and evening. What I'm going to do for my Shavasana is I'm going to bring my legs up against the wall. So it gives us a bit of an inversion. So I'm going to take my mat, I'm going to fold my mat in half. I'm going to bring it up to the wall, right here. Moving these candles aside. I'm going to come up to the wall in a fetal position. This is how I'm going to rest after this practice today. This is my Shavasana. I'm going to try to bring my booty right up to the wall. If it doesn't come up to the wall, that's okay. But the idea is to roll onto your back as you swing your legs up the wall. And if you feel like you want to put a blanket or a bolster under your low back, that's okay too. A little padding. And then we'll close the eyes with the palms open and rest in Shavasana. Letting go of the breath. Relaxing. Letting the practice sink into our bodies and our minds. And I like to rest in Shavasana for about 5 minutes. If we do Shavasana too long, the body doesn't really feel balanced. It might start to feel tired. To come out of this pose, I'm going to bring my feet to the wall, bend my knees. I'm going to roll to one side and just press myself up gently. And I can use that same bolster or blanket now for my meditation. The reason that we move the body and breathe and do the yoga poses that I taught today are designed to discharge the energy, the imbalanced energy that we carry in our bodies, so that we may feel calm and focused, and so that we're able to meditate. Because the meditation is truly what yoga was intended for. Anybody can meditate, so it's nice to have the wall for support. Sit up tall, palms open. Keep the spine nice and tall, guys. This is your Shashamna channel, the energy center. Go ahead and close the eyes. And maybe take a moment in this restful place to do a little visualization, which we call bhavana. And perhaps you'll picture yourself moving through the rest of the day or tomorrow with a more sense of ease and balance. And visualizing yourself confident and free of anxiety. Maybe see yourself doing some kind of activity that you perform with more ease, more balance. And perhaps you'll be able to visualize yourself taking longer exhales. Remember that we're breathing through the nose so that the breath is longer. So just imagine yourself to be a long exhaler. And then spend the rest of your meditation just focusing on the breath. I like to meditate for about 10 minutes each time, or 10 minutes per day, or more. And then just bring your hands to your heart in gratitude and thanking yourself. Thank you for joining me today for a practice that will hopefully end your anxiety, and if not, help you to manage it every single day. Namaste.